Hey guys, what's going on? It's me, Jay. I just wanted to get on here and give a little news out. Coming up this March 31st, it will be the 30th anniversary of the demise of Taino legend, of Tejano legend, sorry, Tejano legend, uh, Selena Quintanilla Perez's assassination. And her assassin, Yolanda Saldívar, was up for parole. Now, thankfully, Yolanda has been denied parole by the state board in the state of Texas because if she were released, people would have been highly upset because Selena is beloved by the state of Texas and beloved by fans worldwide, both in the Spanish speaking Hispanic American community and the Mexican American community specifically, and by others, because she crossed over into pop, R&B, and other genres. For those that don't know and didn't see the 1997 movie starring J-Lo, Selena was a pioneer in her genre of music, in the Tejano music scene. What is the Tejano music scene? Well, it is a specific style of music that originated in Texas. Tejas is the Spanish word for Texas and was the original name of Texas before it was called Texas. And it comes about as a mix of Mexican music, R&B music, country music, blues music, and music from German immigrants, because German immigrants were some of the first immigrants to arrive in in Texas and northern Mexico. So they brought their instruments, the accordions, the specific beats, not just Germans, but Polish people and people from the Czech Republic. And that evolved into Tejano music. But for the longest, this type of music was male dominated. But Selena came about and she was set to change that trend. She bucked against the system, and by the 1980s, she was one of the biggest stars in all of Latin music. And then and then she was set to break out and become a a star in English because she grew up in Lake Jackson, Texas. She grew up speaking English. She grew up being influenced by R&B singers, by Janet Jackson, by Donna Summer, by pop singers such as Madonna. So she wanted to sing in English. She wanted to sing in R&B, but her father, who himself was a doo-wop singer in the 50s and 60s, he started the band initially. It was called Los Ninos, and he went around to clubs and they discriminated against him. Like Lisa, hey, what's Lisa? What's going on? By the way, like Lisa and I talked about in the video on segregation, there was segregation against Mexicans, and they couldn't play at certain clubs because they were Mexican. At first, they tried to go in as Italian, right? But as soon as they were discovered they were Mexican, they were barred from, because of segregation, at performing at certain white clubs. So then they figured, hey, let's go to Mexican music, and they tried to perform at Mexican clubs, but they didn't know Mexican music. They sang R&B. So those clubs, they almost started riots because people were like, what is this? Hey, Jesse. People are like, what is this shit? You know what I mean? This is not. Okay, yeah, I'll change it, at least. People are like, what is this? You know, uh, this isn't Mexican music, and they didn't like it. So what her father learned from that was that if you're Mexican and Mexican American specifically, you're better off selling in the Latin market. So he encouraged her to speak English and to sing and speak Spanish, and to sing specifically in Spanish rather than in pop and R&B in English, was the music that she loved. But once she established a base, she was going to cross over and go into pop and R&B, and she had an album coming out that year. She had just gotten married to her husband Chris Perez, a former bandmate, and unfortunately, she was assassinated by Yolanda, who was the manager of her fan club and the manager of her boutique. She was also breaking into fashion. And Yolanda was caught stealing, and the Cantanilla family called her out for it, and fired her. And unfortunately, she lured Selena into a hotel and she shot her. She was assassinated. Selena bled out um, that day. So Jesse saying that the father is pure evil. The documentary was intriguing, but not top tier. Um, I don't really know much about the situation with the dad. I know a little bit of Yolanda's allegations regarding Abraham Cantanilla Sr., the father of Selena, but I don't know much about, like, her allegations, for example, that the father, uh, the allegations, according to Yolanda, the allegations against Abraham Cantanilla Sr., which is Selena's dad, was that Selena's dad tried to sexually assault Yolanda. Yolanda, for years, has maintained that she has a secret that she didn't want to tell the world about Selena. Yeah. Um, and the secret, according to Yolanda, is different secrets. One, that Selena was in love with her, that Selena was, harboring a secret of possibly being either lesbian or bisexual, right? And Selena was in love with her, which I don't think that's true. I mean, even if Selena was, even if she was, Selena's religious belief was a hardcore Jehovah's Witness, right? That was her religion, and and of course that doesn't permit, homosexuality or lesbianism. So I doubt she was a lesbian. But even if she were, I doubt, I doubt that she would be in love with Yolanda. I mean, Yolanda. I'm not judging anybody on their looks, but she wasn't exactly the most attractive uh, woman that somebody that's interested in women would be interested in. So I think that's just delusions of grandeur. And if that is true, I think if anybody had an infatuation physically or romantically with somebody else, it was Yolanda to Selena, not Selena to Yolanda. And then another another accusation that Yolanda tried to come up with is that well, yeah, that's just it though, Lisa. She was trying to she was going to threaten to expose their relationship to the media, and this would ruin Selena's wholesome image. Another allegation that Yolanda's story always changes, right? Every so often, is that Selena was having an affair with a man, a doctor in Mexico, a plastic surgeon in Mexico named Dr. Martinez, and reportedly Selena was pregnant, and she had to terminate the pregnancy from Dr. Martinez because she didn't want her husband to find out. Again, no evidence that this occurred, that her and the doctor had an affair. No evidence whatsoever. You know what I mean? Of her and the doctor having an affair, her cheating on her husband with this doctor. But this uh, this is what she comes up with. When in reality, Sean says she's crazy. David says she died. She died when he was 4. Lisa says so. If Selena was a lesbian, then that means Yolanda was a lesbian as well. So that gives her all the more reason why she killed her, because she was in love with her. Yeah, what it was, Lisa, it's two things. I believe one, it's an unrequited love. Somebody's in love with somebody, and that person doesn't share the same feelings for that other person. We've all had crushes in the past, that we have a crush on somebody, be they the same sex or be they the opposite sex, and they don't feel the same way. They only see us as friends. But some people that are crazy, they'll take it to the next step and try to kill that person because they can't have them. Exactly. Jesse's correct. The infatuation was strong. What Selena's fashion designer said, the guy that helped her out with her fashion in her fashion boutique, said that her and Yolanda would be together and she would leave. And after 5 minutes, they were together 5 minutes ago, Yolanda would come along and say, I miss her. You were together with her 5 minutes ago. How can you miss her? She was just here. You know, that's beyond a crush. That's obsession with a person. And what I believe happened was when they discovered Yolanda was stealing, she feared that she would lose Selena. Of course she would, because she was stealing. See, it wasn't so much for Selena, it wasn't so much that she stole from her. It was that Yolanda, as the president of the fan club, was stealing from the fans. That was the biggest offense to Selena. She cared about her fans. She loved her fans. So it's not you're stealing from me, you're stealing from my fans that are these young girls, 10, 11, 12, 13. They don't have much money. They have basically an allowance, and they're giving everything they can to get a piece of Selena merchandise, a t-shirt, a poster, something. And you're taking their money and you're not giving them the merchandise uh, that you promised them. And that was the biggest offense to Selena. Not from her, but from her fans. Her fans meant everything to her. As a matter of fact, when she got married to Chris, because as Jesse pointed out, Abraham, her father, was a real control freak. He couldn't make it in the music business himself. So much like Michael Jackson's father, Joe Jackson, he felt like he could use his children to do that, right? Which is what he did, right? He forced them to be performers, just like Joe Jackson, right? So, he didn't like that. He didn't like that his daughter was dating somebody in the band, right? The guitarist that they hired, that the brother hired, A.B. Cantonilla hired. So Selena had to go get married in secret. She had to elope. She couldn't have the traditional wedding with the family there and everything, even though the family was close knit, a close knit family. She couldn't have her family there because her father didn't get along with the guy, right? He was a control freak. So, being as that happened, the first thing that Selena was concerned about was not how the family would perceive the fact that they eloped, but how the fans would perceive it. She didn't want to be a bad role model to some of those female fans, some of those young girls, thinking that getting eloped was acceptable. You know what I mean? She didn't want to have that sort of image on her, right? So she didn't want it to get out, but it got out anyway. But I'm saying the point is, I say all that to say, is that she cared most about her fans. She cultivated her image tremendously. Sean is saying not let her out probably saved her life. Probably saving her life as far as like making her a star, I guess. You know what I mean? But the thing is, like, they'll use the same excuse. So, well, uh, that there was gangs, in Texas at the time, and there is, and there was, what I mean, like they were living in the hood, basically. So, lower middle class family. Abraham, he worked odd jobs and stuff. But if she were never famous, would she? Would we even be talking about her? She had tremendous talent that she wanted to share with the world, and the dad, you know, he pushed her, and he pushed her, and this is what came of it. Just like it's the same cases with Michael Jackson. I mean, they gave their reason. I mean, they wanted to keep their both men wanted to keep their kids away from gangs and whatever, right, in their respective areas. You know, one in Indiana, one in Texas. But in the reality, did they really are they were they really just failed musicians looking to profit off of their kids' talent? You know what I mean? Which is what they both really were. You know what I mean? But then again, we love them, and if us as the fans, if their fathers never pushed them, us as the fans never would have got to enjoy their talent because Selena could have been a nurse, she could have been a teacher, she could have been whatever, but she would have never been a pop singer. Michael Jackson could have been whatever and just a regular guy and still be alive today, but we wouldn't be able to enjoy his music. So I mean, it's really a double-edged sword when you really look at it. But as regard to Yolanda, she basically did nothing throughout her whole life. She failed at basically everything. She was a nurse, and her niece was a fan of Selena, and that's how she got to know Selena. She went to a concert. She was already in her mid-30s when she uh, yeah, Lisa saying she's up for parole again in 2030. Yeah, she was already in her mid 30s when she discovered Selena's music. Like, how weird is it for a woman that is in her 30s to be listening to a pop artist and be so obsessed with a pop artist that is intended for teenagers? Not saying there's anything wrong with that, but that be the equivalent of somebody like me or Lisa or David or Sean, because I know everybody's here in their 30s, being openly obsessed with Sabrina Carpenter, and stalking Sabrina Carpenter. We may like her music, but the music is not really for us. You know, it 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 seems kind of weird. It seems kind of an example to me of arrested development, really. I mean, like, it's one thing getting into these modern artists because you have kids, you have daughters, so they listen to it and you listen to it by extension. But it's like quite another thing when you have no children and you become the person obsessed with a certain particular pop artist that is not really for your age range. David says, yeah. I mean, but David, David says he has a crush on Trish, but you grew up with her. That's different, David. You were a kid when she was, performing. I'm talking about somebody that is not a kid and is obsessed with a certain artist and is a grown adult and should have other things in their mind, be it them being obsessed with a specific artist that is intended for a teenage demographic. Seems kind of weird to me. you, you know, that's why I think it was a physical crush. It was something like she came across Selena on TV, and she was interested in women. She never really was interested in men. You know what I mean? There's no history of her dating, um, having relationships with men in her life. I know that she was sexually abused when she was young. That could Yolanda, that could have contributed to it. But I think and a hint of jealousy as well. I mean, she felt that she could live vicariously through her. And it's a really weird case because only one other time in music have we experienced this. Twice in music history. One is John Lennon with Mark David Chapman, and the other is with Selena. Lisa's saying, yeah, that's probably why they denied her parole as well, because as soon as she steps, yeah, people are, especially if it would have happened this year, March 30th or March 28th or 9th, that's right around Selena's 30th anniversary, which would have been utter disrespectful. March 31st is the day, man. You know what I mean? Um, and like, we're talking about a woman that had a hit out on her by the Mexican mafia, by a deadly prison gang, because of what you know, um, that exist in the Southwest. It started in California, but it exists in Texas and all the states where there's a lot of Mexican Americans at. They had a hit out on her. So I mean, it would have been really dangerous, especially in you know, given that she's such a high profile celebrity and so beloved, by people. So yeah, she'll probably end up in there for the rest of her life, honestly, because she's not repentant, and that's the one thing. When you are facing heavy charges and you appear before the parole board, you have to be repentant. You have to be remorseful of the things you did, and she feels like she did nothing wrong. In her warped psychology, she was protecting Selena by murdering her. This is the excuse she gives. But then again, you don't really know about Yolanda because she pleads insanity sometimes. She says the crazy off the wall shit. But then at the same time, you look at the motive and you're like, no, the motive doesn't seem like insanity. She seems like she's a clear headed woman and she knew what she was doing. She just bullshitting us and lying to us and trying to play crazy. She knew what she was doing all along. She was murdering Selena because she was getting fired by her. And by getting fired, she would not only be fired, but she would be outcasted out of the social circle. And the jig was up. She could no longer steal from Selena. So that was the reason. I mean, the reason wasn't some mysterious pregnancy rumor or some lesbian love affair. The real reason was, uh, you were stealing from somebody and you got caught, and you retaliated. You know what I mean? Because you clearly went out to buy a gun. You clearly premeditated to buy this gun, which we know Texas is a Republican state, and it's easy to purchase a gun in that state. You know what I mean? So you clearly went out to purchase this gun. You clearly had it in your mindset that you were going to lure her to the hotel. And that's another excuse she uses, that the gun went off accidentally. As they were arguing and wrestling, right? So the gun went off accidentally, and she accidentally shot Selena, which is bullshit too, because come on, really? Like, you went there with the intention to shoot her. Even if the gun went off accidentally, you were going to at least scare her. Maybe, who knows if she was going to actually shoot her, but at least by showing her the gun, you were going to scare her into not doing what you knew she was going to do, which was fire you. Because already she had been caught doing other things, and Selena was forgiving, and Selena let her off the hook and brought her back into the social circle because Yolanda claimed that she was sexually assaulted by somebody else, and then she claimed she was sexually assaulted by Selena's father. You know what I mean? And then she claimed that she got pregnant from the sexual assault. They took her to the doctor, and then was discovered that there was no baby in there. So this woman was a serial liar. You know what I mean? You can't believe anything that she says. You know what I mean? So clearly, um, the state of Texas made the right decision with this. But myself, I discovered Selena in 1997 from the movie. I didn't know who she was before that. And I compare her to somebody else that died on that day, March 31st, in a different year. It was Nipsey Hussle. Um, he also passed away on March 31st, 2019. And he was very similar in the sense that uh, he was also assassinated. And um, people in his area, California, might have known who he was, but people in the rest of the country and the world didn't necessarily. He was unknown before he really passed away, except by a few hardcore people. Now, his death, he's more known in death than he was in life. Just as she went to a concert at Western Playland in El Paso. Okay, cool. I know the famous concert that she did at the Astrodome in Houston with the purple dress. That is her most iconic concert that she did right before she passed away. And that is a beautiful performance. I mean, just think what happened a couple of years after she passed away in music and how Latin music blew up because just a few years after, you had J Lo coming out. You had Mark Anthony crossing over into English. You had Christina Aguilera doing bilingual records. You had Ricky Martin coming out, and you had these artists collaborating with R&B artists and hip hop artists. She could have done the exact same thing in other pop artists. You know what I mean? But unfortunately, this happened because she had the ability, man. She was already working with Janet Jackson's producers. The album "Dreaming of You." There's a song called "Missing My Baby," which is produced by Janet Jackson's producers. So she was already crossing over into that market. Many people consider her the Mexican Madonna. You know what I mean? So it just fucked up, sad, man. You know what I mean? Like, and I think, in my opinion, J Lo would have not achieved half of the success that J Lo achieved if it were not for Selena paving the way, because her father was right in a sense. Her dad was, yeah, she could have. Her dad was right in a sense that Latino artists don't get the recognition we deserve in English music. We don't. Unfortunately, we are associated, our English crossover artists are associated with a lot of tragedy. We have Selena, we have um, Richie Valens that died in the 50s, and Big Pun in hip hop that died, also young in 2000 from weight issues. So here you have three Latin artists. They crossed over into the English market and they're well known for their songs in the English market, but they didn't achieve the optimal success. And it's very difficult for Hispanic artists to do that because both Hispanic record producers, Latino record producers, and English record producers want to box you in. So if you're a singer or a rapper and you're Hispanic, you're Latino, a lot of times they want to say, "Oh, well, why don't you just do Spanish music?" You know what I mean? You don't have to do R&B, hip hop, pop, rock. You know, you can just do this kind of music, and that's all they want you to do. Or if you're you, and the Anglos will say the same thing that the Latinos will say, and both sides will reject you. So it's very difficult. So her father was right in a sense. I agree with that because people, both Latinos and non-Latinos, only want to see Latinos doing Latino music, which is stupid. I mean, there are plenty of Latinos that grow up here in the United States, and they speak English. Only primarily English, but they don't really get the chance to shine. See a few examples, but very few. And Selena was one of those. Yeah. Jesse saying Justin Bieber helped out when he did Despacito. Despacito was very unique because that song was a Spanish song that a lot of people that didn't know Spanish, like they didn't know the words. Like Gasolina was similar. Uh, they didn't speak the language, but they they appreciated the vibe. Many people were in parties, and this was 2017 when Despacito came out and was number one. They were in parties and they were singing it, and many of them didn't even know what they were singing. You know, the same thing with Gasolina. You know what I mean? That shit stood on the charts for weeks and weeks. But like I said, J Lo, everything that J Lo did when she later collaborated with the likes of Ja Rule, she collaborated with, different hip hop artists, LL Cool J and stuff, and with all that she did in pop and R&B, what could have been done by Selena because Selena was much more talented. J Lo is not a good singer. She can't sing at all. She's mainly an actor and slash dancer. Um, So imagine somebody that could sing and was a real good vocalist. You know what I mean? What they could have done. Just sad. You know what I mean? Just a tragedy. A life cut short. And Selena was also trying to break into the movie industry. In 1995, she was in the Johnny Depp. It was a small cameo. And if you blink, you'll miss it. She was singing in a mariachi band when they went into a restaurant. This was Johnny Depp and Marlon Brando's 1995 movie Don Juan DeMarco, and she was in it. You know what I mean? A small little role, but J Lo is Selena. David, no. J Lo is J Lo, and Selena is a different person. J Lo played Selena in a movie, but J Lo is not Selena. That's like saying that Denzel Washington is Malcolm X. They were two different people. Like, uh, he might have played him in a movie, and he played him so well, like Jamie Foxx played Ray Charles, but in the movie Ray. But they're two different people. uh, First of all, one is Puerto Rican and from New York, and the other is Mexican and from Texas. So uh, they're both Latinas, but they're two completely different people. And J Lo got the bug to sing when she did Selena. I never heard of her singing before. She went on tour with MC Hammer. She was part of the Fly Girls from the show In Living Color. But singing, I didn't hear anything about that before she did that movie. So, no, I disagree with you there, David. J Lo is not Selena. J Lo is J Lo, and Selena is. Oh yeah, my cat. Oh yeah. uh, Selena is Selena. They're two different people, and Selena had a better body uh, than J Lo. You know, Selena was in great shape. I mean, one of the best bodies freaking ever. And she didn't work out at all. She only ate pizza, according to the movie. You know, yeah, I must have watched that movie shit tons of time. Yeah, David, a lot of people do because she was heavily produced. David says a lot of people think J Lo sucks. Becky G. Well, I think the girl that played Selena in the Netflix series looks a lot more like Selena than J Lo. But People love the movie, and we watch it in Spanish class in school. You know what I mean? Like Selena is so beloved by Hispanic people all over the United States and the world. You know what I mean? Like she's an icon. She's she's like Elvis to baby boomers or Tupac. You know what I mean? Like her image is everywhere. You know what I mean? Like she's so famous that the image is probably known, the picture is probably known, but people, younger kids that weren't alive, when she was doing her thing, probably don't even know who she is just from seeing the image. You know what I mean? Because the image is so everywhere. You know what I mean? And she was very moralistic. Like she wasn't over. Like one of the problems with female artists today, particularly in like the pop and R&B genres, is over sexualization. We talk a lot about it on the channel, but Selena wasn't into that. You know what I mean? There's an interview about her with regards to abortion, and she basically plain out states, this is not a political statement or anything, but she just plain out states she doesn't agree with it personally, based on her beliefs, based on her Jehovah Witness religion, which she was into deeply. So she was a good example for young girls because she was sexy without being slutty. You know what I mean? And you could do both. You could be sexy without, prostituting your body, because what should speak for you is your musical talent and your musical ability, not your only. You're not an OnlyFans model. You're a singer. You get paid to sing and dance. You don't get paid to show your body. You know what I mean? A lot of these female artists, they miss that today in today's world. They think it's all about sexuality, and it's not. It's about self respect and empowering. Girl power is not necessarily only about sexuality, but it's about empowering women to be everything that they can be, whatever they want to be. Just not that one thing trying to box women into a one dimensional box. So overall, I think this is good that Yolanda is now being let out. And, rest in peace to Selena. May her legacy in music and her legacy in the world, what she stood for, live on. Thank you, Jesse, for contributing. Thank you, David. Thank you, Lisa. Thank you, Jesse. We haven't seen you in a while. Sean, we haven't seen you in a while, Jesse. I hope you stick around and you contribute to some of the other videos. You know, you know what I mean? Peace, guys. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. I'll be doing a review on the 31st on the movie Selena that we're talking about, starring J Lo, in honor of the 30th anniversary of her passing. So look forward to that. It's a movie that I love. It's one of my favorites. It's probably one of the top 3 autobiography movies that exist about a famous celebrity. So look out for that, guys. Peace.